What's good, YouTube land? The Ultimate Form here, back again once again today, people. Today we are here for a demo review for the game Monarch, which was released in Japan in October of last year, and will be released February 22nd in the West this year with a full English dub on PS4, PS5, Switch, and Steam. This game is distributed and published by NIC America, synonymous for the distribution and publishing of the Trails games, a long-running JRPG franchise that, honestly, and I say this with my chest, is a perfect rival for Final Fantasy, though most people don't seem to have played it, that I know, and is recently gaining a lot of popularity as of the release of Cold Steel 3 and 4, which was about 2 years ago, and they were released pretty much back to back, and 2 more Trails games will be coming for the next arc in that series. I won't go into the Trails games here because I'll be talking about it for hours, and I don't really want to do that right now. I want this to be a relatively short form video. I don't want to particularly say that this game is a Persona analog, because there are quite a few similarities, but it has come to my attention through a little bit of research that I've done, that some past members of the S&T and Persona franchises from Atlas did work on this game, and the similarities between this and many of the ideas, settings, and aesthetics that Persona and S&T share will be very evident for you to see through my explanation. So what is Monarch? Not exactly an easy question to answer. As I said before, it shares many of the similarities that are not necessarily unique to the JRPG franchise, but they are very much synonymous with more high-profile games, as I mentioned, like S&T and Persona 5. Not Persona 5, Persona in general. The main games that show off these very identifiable traits recently are Persona 5 and S&T 5, which was recently released at the end of last year. You have a group of high school students who get embroiled in a conflict that involves supernatural powers, a high school, and another world. If you get a chance to play the demo got released last week, so feel free to download that for PS4 and PS5 now. I'm not too sure if there's a demo for Switch. I probably should have looked that up, but if there is a demo for Switch and you have a Switch, feel free to give it a try. Monarch is first and foremost a tactical RPG, and while if you've played Persona, it does lack many of the social aspects and social network building aspects that come with the what do you call it? I don't remember what to call it, but like the social sim aspects, that's what you call it. It lacks kind of that, and it replaces it with something I'll mention when I kind of go through the setting, themes, and aesthetic of the game. The combat, as you can see on screen, will have you controlling multiple party members, moving them around the play area in a free flow manner. You're not stuck to a grid, and using attacks and what are called authorities, which are kind of like your magic based attacks and techniques, in order to destroy enemies and as well capture particular spaces and destroy objects in the field. The game has quite a few mechanics that are very unique, that kind of interplay with that, including the defer system, which allows you to move a piece but then defer the rest of that action to another unit. Allows you to power up your units individually by allowing them to learn skills, and plays into the more unique aspect of its character building attributes. Much like the social stats in a Persona game, this game has a very similar feature, that being as you can see on screen, the connection to the seven deadly sins. As part of playing the game and starting the game, you are asked a set of questions that will determine your alignment to one of the seven deadly sins. As you can see from my demo plays, I am highly aligned with lust. I don't think that's rather strange coming from me. But the seven deadly sins, chess pieces, the keys of Solomon, which are a set of grimoire describing the fallen angels and demons of hell, as well as aspects of psychology, which are also present in the aforementioned SMT and Persona games, feature heavily in this game. And while that is identifiable, it is used in a rather unique fashion. And that fashion I kind of like. Characters, the main character not necessarily is aligned with the last part, psychology, but the enemies that you face in the game will kind of highlight those things. Those characters are also, the antagonist characters are aligned with the seven deadly sins, and understanding their motivations and kind of trying to determine which sin they align with will be half the fun. And one thing I will note is the actual characters in the game are on the process of discovering this too, and aren't so silly or dim-witted, for a lack of a better word, as to not be figuring it out at the same time you are. So expect them to kind of get to the same conclusion as you, just as fast. In reference to the Spheres of Solomon, many of the equipment pieces for your familiars in the game, which you also have in addition to other characters who join your team, was a welcome surprise, because one of the things that I've been learning and studying myself happens to pertain to the Keys of Solomon, it's refreshing seeing these things come up as motifs in a game. As for chess pieces, while I haven't fully explored, you can't fully explore that in the demo so far. The main character is clearly the king piece, and as you go through the game, you'll get other human members to your team that do represent different chess pieces as well. So that's kind of nice to see. As I mentioned before, the game is set in a school, and from what I can tell, the school is kind of based on a Catholic school or religious Christian school in terms of its design, look, and way the teachers look, but does carry many of the more atypical things you see from a Japanese high school, from anime and other games of this sort. Moving on and talking about characters specifically, many of the characters have an air of mystery and are, again, rather atypical, with a slight deviation from normal archetypes that make them a bit more interesting. For instance, Nozomi is the student council president, a third year, and comes off as a very confident person. But as you go through the game, or at least the demo for the first arc, she's confronted with an antagonist that counters her, without spoiling too much, but also does show a bit more of who she is as a person. The first arc isn't particularly surprising in terms of setting up characters, giving you an initial cast and a starting point to move forward. I will mention, most particularly, a character called Vanitas. I won't say much more about what his role is, because he might show up in some of the text dialogue in the background, so bit of a minor spoiler there. But he is probably the most interestingly written character that I've seen from this demo, and it's not because of who he is as a character, though that is interesting, it's the way he talks. So if you get a chance to play the demo, play the full game when that is released, if you don't like how he talks, I apologize, but I immensely love it. Next, I will mention the music in the game. The obvious themes of demons and the macabre and more darker things does come through the music. And while many of the atmospheric music for the school and the scenes and dialogue is kind of dark and slow, many of the battle themes, including the boss battle theme, which I probably will get in trouble for playing, is upbeat, has energy, and then a mild rock theme to them. I think it's absolutely amazing. I love it, and I can't wait to hear more. In the background, you'll see the method by which you level up your characters, just to have a small deviation, seeing as that's come up. You do this by accumulating spirit from battles. Minor side note to that is you don't have random encounters in this game, so you have to actively go out of your way to grind spirit, which may turn some people off, but as a mild tactical turn-based RPG, there has to be some give and take with how you layer that up with the flow of gameplay naturally. So take it how you want, take it or leave it. It's the one minor critique I have for this game setup, and I think I could overlook that if the story is good enough.
Here I go.
All in all, my gut feeling, or my initial feeling for this game, is relatively positive. It has interesting characters, a story with intrigue, themes and aesthetics that are recognizable and can be explored in depth. Hopefully it does, with a cast of characters who, from what I've seen so far, aren't typically one note. They do have quite a bit of depth and a lot of lore that could be explored through the additional data logs that you can find around the game, which in themselves is a mystery all of its own, and I think would be a good JRPG for someone who has already played games of a similar sort. So if you are a fan of Persona 5 in particular, or any Persona game, or any SMT game like SMT 5, which recently came out, you'll enjoy this. This is not something outside of your understanding or purview here, and does offer gameplay mechanics that are fresh and new, but still deal with many of the things that you would recognize and can adapt to moving forward. Again, my only negative is the way that you have to grind. It's not a typical grind where you're given random encounters where you can grind out that way, but you have to actively use a particular gameplay system in order to do that, which I will just highlight that the game warns you not to do it willy-nilly, because you could get yourself into serious trouble. Again, I won't spoil it because I think that's something funny that people should experience themselves. With that, pretty much that's the whole thing. I know that might have been somewhat vague in some places and maybe a bit spoilery in others, but I honestly feel that this game, in its totality, from what I've played from the demo and some of the stuff that I've researched and some of the reviews that I've seen from other people, they seem pretty pleased with how this game has come out so far. Many mentioned the aesthetic and the more darker themes that the game seems to be playing with, that also seem to be built upon as it goes on. My honest recommendation is, if this does look appealing to you, go for it. There is a standard and limited edition. The limited edition does come with a CD for the soundtrack, an art book, acrylic figures, and I think there's something else. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that will set you back about £75. And that there's a limited edition for PS4, PS5, and Switch, I think. Can't remember that last one. Don't quote me on that last one. But with that done, and with that all said and done, if you liked this style of review, let me know in the comments section below. Like, subscribe, ring that bell to get notified of more content coming your way. And I've been your boy Lan, the Ultimate Form, and I will catch you guys later.
We made it, Nozomi.
Good job. You were amazing.